My name's Steve College and I'm here at the Scientology Community Centre in Fair House, Dublin on our fantastic sports pitch. It's the 26th of June and today we celebrate the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, established by the United Nations back in 1987. I think we can all agree that drugs are one of the most destructive elements in our society. Many people know this and many people try and do something about it. Yet the problem has worsened over the years, and especially during the last year with the pandemic, lockdowns and restrictions. Adrian is a community outreach coordinator at the Scientology Community Centre and oversees, among other things, what they call the Truth About Drugs project. So Adrian's joining me now. Adrian, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, and welcome. So tell us, what is the Truth About Drugs project all about?
So the Truth About Drugs project is an international initiative and it's aiming to empower youth and adults with factual information about drugs, so they can make their informed decisions and live drug-free. So Steve, I'm pretty sure you know, like no one, especially a young person or yourself, likes to be lectured about what the person can or cannot do. Thus these materials provide facts that empower people to choose not to take drugs in the first place. And it's about, you know, just restoring people's determinism on the matter. So they are not taking drugs in the first place and they're really their free choice, you know?
Okay, I guess it also offers alternatives like hobbies, lifestyles, choices and activities that they can do instead of.
As part of the Truth About Drugs campaign, there are activities people can join which popularizes drug-free living, such as distributing materials, what we used to do, you know, and it's with the information. And holding events, lectures, or doing fun activities like sports, like today, you know, the football match, creative competitions, any kind of art, music. And all of these are great initiatives and alternatives for young people to engage with and express themselves. And I think it's very, very important nowadays to give something to the young people and also, you know, everybody to do and enjoy. I'm doing also a lot of different projects. Like the last one I finished, there was a painting project for one of the local wheelchair accessible garden, which I painted a mural on, and you know, it's just beautifying the community and the local area because it's very important.
I know you organise that, a lot of people got involved as well, so different activities like that can help people do something and steer themselves away from going down the path with the drugs, and
exactly,
it's a good thing for their own mental well-being as well.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
And you know, there are a lot of other activities. We used to give out booklets in shops, for example, with a few of our volunteers all around Ireland, wherever they are. So you can do it from your local area, or you can come here and, you know, we can do it together.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Adrian. Well, as you heard, the idea is to empower through education, to encourage creativity. So get yourself and your friends the materials, get the information, but also get involved in creative projects or in sports and make the best use of your time and contribute to the cause. Once again, thank you to Adrian, and we've got a few more interviews coming up over the course of the next half an hour, so stay tuned, we'll be back after this.
They said one hit wouldn't hurt. They said one hit wouldn't hurt.
They lied. Get your kids the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
Okay, so talking about our involvement in sports, the football match that was going on behind us for the first half is a friendly game between the locals, between local players, promoting the Truth About Drugs project on the occasion of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. The message of the lads for you today is do sport, not drugs. Joining me now, we've got Jamie Quinn, the manager of Time and Ball Football Club. It's 1-1 there, so a few goals have been scored, but more importantly, they're scoring against drug abuse. Jamie, what's your personal take on the drug problem?
Yeah, I just don't like to see it. You know, it's in the local area where you'd like to see people more in sport and involved and all that kind of stuff. That's why the lads here are out involved in the team, just to keep themselves busy all the time. In general, we like to keep everyone involved in the sport and away from that kind of thing, you know.
So taking up sport's a great alternative to
Absolutely,
going down that
keeps
that
lads on the straight and narrow, keeps them involved in some, and it keeps them involved with people who tend to know the right way to go.
Great. Gives them something to be proud of as
Exactly,
well, gives them an achievement in life. Is this something that you've observed in the local area, lots of drugs or drug use?
Not personally, but I know from experience and with talking to people around the area that it's rampant. It's all over the country, not just in the area, you know. Like, Tallagh's a big population, and I know from seeing people around the area and talking that it's a scourge on the community.
Well, although the accent doesn't give it away, I'm a local lad myself, and you do see the effects of drug abuse all over the place.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's horrible to see, and people's lives are ruined from it, you know.
Of course.
You know, and it might just be taking up something at the start, but it leads down the road of a lot worse, you know. So we don't like to see it. So would you say that joining a sports club is a great alternative to going down the drugs route? Yeah, not just sport, any club involved in keeping lads off the streets and giving them another option than like lads that have like life experience. They're involved in all the teams around the community that just can put lads down the right road.
Yeah. So what do you think should and could be done about the drugs problem that we see?
Look, I'm no expert on anything like that. I wouldn't be involved in too much, but I just know that talking to lads, your mates, keeping them on side, making sure that they have alternatives, that they don't need to go down that route. Really on the option.
There is lots of alternatives out there.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. It's about giving lads alternatives, and football teams, hurling, football, got GAA around the Tallaght and the country is important.
It is.
Sorry, the lads are.
Well, listen, I know you're going to get back to the second half.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
We have to do the elbows. Can I take that ball off you?
Yeah, of course you can.
I think the message we're trying to get across is do sports, not drugs. Let's all kick drugs. And stay tuned for more interviews straight after this.
They said half a hit of E would be fun. They said half a hit of E would be fun. They lied. Find out the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
But here we have a group of volunteers and activists who believe that something can be done about it, and we'll have a chat with them right now. Hi Siobhan.
Hi, how are you?
So Siobhan, tell us a little bit about yourself and the Truth About Drugs project.
I started the Truth About Drugs in 2002, back in the day, and we did all around the inner city, and we went out on a weekly basis, adults and children, and we would just hand out the booklets around to everybody, like around Henry Street, Grafton Street, you name it, we were there.
Why did you choose to volunteer with the Truth About Drugs project?
For a couple of reasons, actually. My children. I had, at that point in 2002, my son was 3 years of age and my daughter was 9, and I knew the potential danger in their environment growing up, you know, that they were going to be exposed, like every child, to drugs. So I just took it on as a project. And second to that, then there's street drugs, but then there's medical drugs that are being given a lot of, you know, and they're being prescribed. And I just observed my own mother dying very young from a lot of medication, from the toxins going. So I knew a lot about toxins going into the system, and so that just thrust me forward in doing something about it.
So there's been a lot of a personal battle with yourself.
Oh, totally. I mean, I promote in as a businesswoman as well in the clinic that I run. I don't tell people to come off drugs, but I promote that there are other solutions, and that's what the anti-drugs is about. It's actually just empowering somebody to understand a little bit more, and then they can actually make a decision on something, you know.
So what are you hoping to achieve with this activity?
Awareness. I mean, children are very, very vulnerable. They're like a slate, and they'll follow you and they'll copy. They will copy you. And if you're an example, firstly, and then you're not thrusting it down their throat and telling them how bad and how dangerous, it's not really the way to go about it. It's just to consult them more, let them see a little bit more. And the drug booklets give an awful lot of information, and you don't give it all to them, but you give it to them what they can have. And then they have this, they're walking around with this awareness, and this is for any child or teenager, and that they can actually go, well, I'm not going to do that. You know, it does have a very powerful effect, you know.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, Siobhan. Kieran, thanks for joining me. Tell us first of all a little bit about yourself and what is your background. How did you get into volunteering?
All right, that sounds like Cilla Black. What's your name? Where'd you come from? Kieran Swords. How I got into volunteering, really, it was just I was asked to do a lecture in a school, and I did it. And you know, I did some distribution of booklets around the country, community guards, and I was kind of shocked because there was so much drugs around Ireland. Every town, every village spoke to a lot of community guards, and it was like, wow, it's a serious problem in Ireland. So
what's been your involvement and experience with the Truth About Drugs project?
Handing out the booklets. The little booklets are phenomenal because the information in them is just, it's very exact, it's very precise, it's very informative, so you don't need to read a lot, so it's very, very good for parents and children to read, so it really gets the message there. So I love giving out the booklets, and because it cuts through all the shit, you know what I mean. It's exactly what the kids need to read about, and indeed their teachers and lecturers and so on, so love giving them out. They're very valuable.
Well, that sounds great. But what motivates you to continue volunteering?
I think it's because I had 3 daughters myself, and we were lucky enough, they didn't come into drugs much growing up, a little bit here and there, but they knew the score. But I did drug lectures, and I could see that the education, the results of giving a talk really empowers the children to make a real informative decision, because obviously the people who are profiting from the drugs are telling lies about how it gives you great highs and does this for you, that for you, now all the rest, and it's easy to get the peer pressure and fall into the trap. So I find the education gives the kids the power of choice, and it really does, because if you do a really good job with that, and obviously the booklets and the information does, the kids really know and understand that no, this is not good. So you're basically saving lives. You're actually preventing a lot of destruction, a lot of even death in certain areas, you know. So that's what motivates me.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Kieran, and it's been a great pleasure speaking to you.
They said if I did coke, I could party all night. They said if I did coke, I could party all night. They lied. Find out the truth about cocaine. drugfreeworld.org.
Okay, well, next up I'm going to be chatting to an actor by the name of Frank Gregg. Some of you may recognise him as Fair City's Garda, James Finlan. Hi Frank, welcome.
Hey man.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Weather's not too great, but we've got a great match going on behind us.
Yeah.
For the Do Sport Not Drugs campaign.
Cool.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to you.
Ah, thanks,
I know
man.
It's your birthday today.
Thank you.
And your birthday's on the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. This happened to be one of the subjects you're passionate about. Is this coincidence, or is it just destiny?
A coincidence that my birthday was on the.
Yeah.
Maybe it was destiny. I don't know, because I was a drug addict for about 6 years.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that's a brave thing to admit as well. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've completely handled it, and it's all gone now. So
Sure.
everything's fixed. So I've no problem talking about it. You know.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the key things as well. People who are suffering, they do need to be able to talk about it and not have any holdbacks on if they're suffering or if they're thinking about it or if they've tried it.
Sure.
Talk about it. Be honest.
It's simply a problem, like any problem, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So what made you get involved with this project?
Well, because I have been there, frankly, ruined by drugs. Like, I remember when I was in Amsterdam, and I remember I was in the hotel in Amsterdam, it was 1999, and I put out that last joint, and I knew if I do this one more time, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown. I knew I came that close to my whole mind just cracking.
And that was something that you came to realise rather than somebody making you realise that?
Yeah, I was just destroyed by it.
Sure.
I was just completely, I was a neurotic mess.
Yeah.
I was a crazy person. And I knew if I did it one more time, that was it. I was going to go completely insane. I was that close to the edge.
Right.
You know?
So that was like a big wake-up call for you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you turned from drug user to like an activist trying to get people to realise the damage it can do?
Yeah, I stopped taking it, and then I basically, frankly, rehabilitated myself. And then, you know, I run into guys who I took drugs with who had never quit, and I saw them what I would have been like 5 years later, 10 years later, and they were completely destroyed, destroyed. So I couldn't sleep at night knowing, God, this is happening to other people. I'm fine, but leave them. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, you was a strong one.
Yeah, and I also knew why they did it. I understood why they did it. They weren't bad people. So I just wanted to do all I could to, you know, say, I know what you're going through and I know why you're doing it, and so on and so forth. And I found a lot of anti-drug places just said, don't do it, it's wrong, and that's it. And people just went, especially in Ireland, they just went, F you.
Yeah, of course.
Do it anyway, you know? Yeah.
And that's the point. There's so many people out there that will say, don't do it. Preventative, let's stop people from even getting down that path. It's so easy to fall into, especially in the area that we live in and the world that we live in now. Yeah. It's hard to find those alternatives sometimes, especially in some of the bigger communities.
Well, what I used to do was those mountains right there. Yeah. That's the Hellfire Club is right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Here I am.
And that's a big walk to the top of that as well.
It is a big walk, but when you're on acid, you don't notice it. And that's what we used to do. We used to take our acid in Green Hills and walk up to the Hellfire Club. Yeah. And it's like, I wouldn't call it irony, it's to know that I'm now standing here completely drug-free, fighting drugs, knowing, you know, for those 6 years I was up there looking at the front window of the Hellfire Club on this mind-altering drug which was completely destroying me with all my friends, and it was destroying them.
And the hardest part is, I guess, when you're there and you're in that moment, you don't see that it's destroying you. It's great, it's wonderful, it's magical. Yeah. It's the after effects, and it's not only the damage you're causing to yourself but to those around you as well.
Absolutely. You know, some of the funniest times I've had, some of the most interesting stories I've had have been on drugs. Some of the wildest situations, it's like you step into a different universe. Yeah. But I also saw what it was doing to me every single day. Sure. I was disconnecting from reality. Yep. My health was going to shit. Apart from the fact that I was just an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
I was bad to my girlfriends, I was cheating on them, my morality had gone and so on, so I was having all this great time, but the price was just forget it.
And I guess everybody else could see that at the time, even magnified more than
oh my God. You know, really, when I think of myself back then, now, what's that, 23 years ago? Yeah. It's like I'm thinking of an alien or a different planet. I'm so different now. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I feel far more fantastic than actually being on drugs. Yeah. Now. So it goes to show that I was frantically trying to handle a problem. It's like a painkiller for me, you know?
Sure. And since those times, you've rebuilt yourself, you rebuilt your life, you're an actor. Been in many things. So tell us a bit about your acting. How did you get into that?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, because I'll tell you now, for me to become an actor in the condition I was in, on drugs, I mean, I couldn't even talk to another actor. Right. I couldn't even function in life, you know? I quit the drugs, and then of course when you quit the drugs and you fix yourself up, you naturally, you're dynamic, you just shoot up, you know? Yeah, yeah. So I became an actor, and I landed the cop, Garda James Fillon, on Fair City, which is always very ironic to me. You know? Because
from bad guy to good guy.
I'm telling you, I was the one who had them stuck down in my socks. Yeah. And I was the one who was going, is that a cop car? Yeah. And here's me with the uniform on and arresting criminals and drug addicts and drug dealers and so on, you know? So I had landed that role, and every time I put the uniform on, every time I had to be the cop, I always thought, when I looked at the criminal on Fair City, honestly, I know this sounds unusual, how much they're not a criminal, so many of them. They're just people who are troubled like I was. Yeah. Yeah. I was effectively a criminal, taking drugs or having them on my person, you know?
But also you were suffering, you was also a victim of the circumstance. As opposed to...
Yeah, it's like this, you know, this was me. Imagine I stuck a knife in your leg, and then it says, don't take painkillers. Yeah. No, that's wrong, don't take painkillers. What the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's it.
You'll somehow find something to take away the pain, and that was me and my friends. We were suffering, and this was our painkiller. Right. You know?
Yeah. So What's your personal message to people out there considering to make a choice about drugs? Because there's the prevention side of it. It's quite easily for us to stand here and say, don't take drugs, don't go near them, don't touch them.
Yeah.
It's easy to say to people, if you're contemplating it, or if you're getting mixed up in drugs and you want to talk, it's okay to talk about it. What's your message out there to people?
My message sincerely out there to people, and how this sounds, it's not really relevant to me because it's so true. For you to even think you're taking drugs and considering it, there's something going on in your life that's wrong. Address the problem in whatever way you can, because this is going to make it worse.
It's the old adage, it's not what you do, it's why you do it.
Exactly.
And what would you say to the people, like parents or friends of people, that they can see somebody that's either taking the drugs or going down a path which isn't good for them? Because I think they're the people that need to get a message to them, for them to help, and because they're everybody's eyes and ears.
Sure. Well, honestly, from my research, and if you knew me, you know how much I exactly research things.
Yeah.
Frankly, go onto the Truth About Drugs website and read the materials, because it is the most effective program I've ever come across. It actually has the real information about what's going on with that person, and especially the traps they're going to fall into with drug addicts and so on, and drug dealers and so on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. And as Frank said, if you want to go and have a look at the Truth About Drugs, have a look at the website. There's links on the Scientology website there as well. And we'll see you straight after this.